from Kusadasi. It is a small town in the Turkish Riviera. So beautiful. I need to catch you up on the last 2 days because a lot has been going on here. We are here for 4 whole nights. That is the longest I've ever stayed somewhere, like in one place on an EF tour. It's so nice knowing that you don't have to unpack your bags. You kind of get to settle here. You get to know the neighborhood. The town is beautiful. The beach is like, or not the beach, the coastline, the water is like 2-minute walk downhill. Absolutely stunning. We are having the best time here. So yesterday was our first full day here, and we had the entire day free. When I tell you that we all needed that, I am not kidding. We are exhausted. It's been so fun exploring Turkey, but I mean, this tour has been jam-packed, and we truly needed a day to ourselves. So we got a group of us together. I want to say about 8 of us in the morning, and we went for a traditional Turkish breakfast. We ordered so much food, and it was 7 of us, and for 7 of us it was just barely over $100 US. What a steal. That was so good. It was so much food. I had a little granola plate, and then this, like, I forget what it's called. It starts with an S. I know it's called menenem or something. Menenem. I think in Greece, but there's a Turkish name for it, but it was so good. It was like eggs and cheese and tomatoes and peppers. Delicious. So after breakfast, we headed over to the Orient Bazaar, which is one of the biggest bazaars, I believe, in Turkey. It didn't seem that big at first, but we certainly did get lost in it. We bought a lot of things. We bought ceramics. We bought bags. I bought 4 bags. Very cute though, all super different, so it was worth it. People got a ton of souvenirs and stuff to bring home to family and friends. And we were there for a good, like, over 2 hours, I think, shopping, maybe almost 3. And we had to take a taxi back to our hotel because we bought that much stuff. So once we were done shopping, we came back to the hotel and had a little pool time. The pool overlooks the sea, and it's absolutely stunning. I think we all really need to just lay in the sun and do nothing for a few hours. Because like I said, it's been absolutely crazy here. And then at nighttime, we went out for some pizza. I tried my first Turkish beer. It was really good. Pretty much just tasted like a light beer, but I would recommend it. The pizza was super good too. It was baked in this like wood fire oven. So good. We all loved it. And then we went and got some ice cream and headed back because we had an early morning today. So today, I want to say it's day 10 of the tour. Yes, day 10 of the tour. We are still here in Kusadasi in the Turkish Riviera. It is our second full day here out of 3 full days. We woke up bright and early to get breakfast and head out to Ephesus. A bunch more ruins. It was really cool. We actually got there. I think we were the first group to go in, so it was pretty empty when we got there. Really nice to be able to see it without all the crowds, without all the other tour groups and people. So we walked around there and we saw like the library, the little theater. And when we were done exploring there, we got to go to the Experience Museum, which is I think 20-minute experience, where you're in like a 4D, or I guess it's 3D, experience with like music and a whole show, and you have earpieces in, and you learn about Ephesus and see how it was like to live like back in whatever time period that was, and you see what the ruins used to look like and how the people would live their lives in the streets, and what all the buildings actually looked like now, like before they all fell apart. It was super cool. Definitely worth it. I don't know how much it costs because EF includes a lot of stuff like this, but I really think they do a good job of making sure that we do the educational things that will help us learn about the places we're visiting. Sometimes I wish that we had like a more detailed tour of the outside, but they do include like museum stops and stuff, so we do get to learn about where we're going and what kind of like ruins we're seeing. So once we left Ephesus this morning, we headed to a cooking class. This was actually what I was most excited about coming into the tour, even more excited than like the hot air balloons and stuff. I love a good cooking class. I think it really helps you understand the food in a different country. Plus you get to eat the food that you cook. A lot of fun. However, this wasn't really a cooking class. It was more just like a small kitchen where we all went in and took turns like chopping vegetables and stirring things on the stove. And then, so that lasted like 30 minutes. It was a little hot and awkward, especially because there were like too many people for all like the little jobs to be done. So it wasn't what I would expect from a cooking class at all. And then at the end we had all of our dishes. They're all laid out, they all look beautiful. And then I don't even think we ate any of them because they had this whole buffet set out of all these other foods that we got to eat. So I'd say it was more of like a cooking experience. The staff was super nice. The old lady who runs the kitchen, oh my gosh, whatever she's doing cooking, the food was incredible. But I wouldn't call it a cooking class because half of us didn't even cook, and I couldn't even tell you like what half the dishes were that we made, which is one of the most important parts to me, is understanding like what goes in to all these dishes that I'm out buying and eating at restaurants and on the street. That's why I like to do cooking classes, because it helps me understand like the most important dishes. And I think one of the other things that really disappointed some of us was that we didn't get to cook like a dessert or anything. We all really love baklava, but we haven't gotten to eat it a ton on this tour, and maybe that's our fault. Maybe we're not going out and looking for it enough. I just feel like the food, especially the desserts and like Turkish coffee, which is really highlighted in the itinerary that we were given, we haven't had enough chances to get and try. And we went yesterday on our free day. We went out of our way to get all like a Turkish breakfast, and we all had Turkish coffee, and we got dessert. But for as much as they being EF in the itinerary and our tour director talk about it, there's certainly not a lot of dessert. And I was really looking forward to the cooking class because I was excited to see what goes into making baklava and eat it. I know there's like nuts in it and it's like a pastry, but I don't know much else. And sure, I could Google it, but I'm literally sitting here in Turkey right now. And I was really looking forward to the cooking class to kind of help me understand some of these like really big dishes better. And when it's just like a kitchen and you're in there for 30 minutes chopping vegetables, it's not going to teach you much. And it was really disappointing because I was really excited for the cooking class. I certainly have a list of things that I'm going to do when I come back to Turkey that I feel like I missed out on this tour that I was fully expecting to do. The next day, we had another optional excursion set up by EF, which was a half-day day trip to Serince, which translates to pretty town in Turkish. It was a really cool town, and we got to learn how Turkish coffee was made. We got to try wine and baklava, and the views from the city were absolutely stunning. The rest of the afternoon was ours to enjoy the Turkish Riviera. A few of us went back to another hammam spa, which was a lot better than the one in Istanbul, and it was right by the hotel. From there, we got dinner with a group of people from the trip and then got some dessert and just enjoyed our last night on the coast. Our final full day in Turkey, which was day 12 of the trip, was spent on a long bus ride back to Istanbul. On the way back, we stopped at Pergamum, which is our final ruins of the trip. We took a cable car to the top of the hill where they are, and again, the views were beautiful. The ruins all kind of look the same after a while, but it was still nice to break up the bus ride with a stop here. We got back to Istanbul in the evening, and we had about an hour to freshen up before our farewell dinner, where we got some final Turkish food and we got to do karaoke. On day 13 of the trip, you just fly back to the US. The flights were at all different times of day, so some people had early afternoon flights. Me and about 12 other people had a 3 a.m. transfer to the airport. The early morning wake-up wasn't the most fun after the farewell dinner went late, but it all worked out and we all made it back to the U.S. safe and sound. So other than the cooking class, we didn't get to go to the Grand Bazaar because the day that it was on the itinerary, it was closed. It's closed every Sunday. EF runs their tours so that the Grand Bazaar day, the day you're supposed to have time to go to it, is on a Sunday. Why would they do that? I don't know. I wish I knew. I'm gonna ask them because I'm very curious what the purpose is behind why the itinerary has Grand Bazaar listed on a day when the Grand Bazaar is closed. But that was really disappointing, and by the time we get back to Istanbul on the last full day, we're not gonna have time, and then a ton of us have flights out at like 6 a.m. so we can't go on our like very last few hours of the morning either. So that was really upsetting. And one of the other things that I found to be super disappointing on this tour is when we do go to like the historic sites, like all the ruins. We've gone to 3 ruins now, a few different mosques, things like that. Our tours are very basic. I feel like we're not getting all the information out of them that I would expect from a history tour. And I wish they were more comprehensive and more, I think the stories aren't very easy to follow. Just like nothing against our tour guide, but I wish the tours of the ruins were a little better and the other historical sites, because one, it's hard to follow when there's a whole big group and she runs ahead and half the group isn't even there and she starts telling the story. So if you don't like get there right away, you miss half of whatever she's talking about, and it's not like you're not gonna understand what's going on at that place. And 2, there have been other places we've gone where she just hasn't given a tour. And I feel like if you really want to get a good understanding of Turkey, or if there's specific things that you really want to do, you really have to go out of your way to make sure you do them or try them or whatever. And it's hard to do that though, because you're also trying to follow the itinerary that EF and our tour director has planned. And you never really know like what the time schedule is going to be, because there's been days where we were supposed to get back after like the guided part of the day by 3 p.m. but then we don't get back till 5 p.m. because things take too long or there's traffic or whatever. So it's been a little tough to do everything that I was expecting to be able to do. So one more thing that's a little off about this tour is that we keep stopping at these like shopping shows, I think is a good way to put them. So we've gone to a jewelry store, we did a leather store today, we went to a rug demonstration, and none of this is listed on EF's itinerary, but it's one of these things where you go and learn for 2 minutes about rugs or jewelry or leather, barely even learning, and then you see like this demonstration. So with the leather one, it was a fashion show with all these leather jackets. At the jewelry one, they were just showing us like different types of stones, I believe. And at the rug one, they were laying out probably 100 rugs on the floor in front of us. We were all seated in a big room along the edges. And then at the end, they're like kind of pushing you to buy stuff. And it's really weird. It's all pretty expensive. I don't know if they're fair prices or not. I don't know anything about leather or rugs or that much about jewelry. But we've done all 3 of those, and none of them are on EF's itinerary. So I don't know why our tour director keeps taking these places. It's a little weird, and people are buying things at these, but they're also very, I would say they're pretty pushy if you show any interest. Like if you just stand on the side, they're not gonna push you. But if you're like, oh, that's a pretty bracelet, then they're like, oh my gosh, like let me show you these bracelets, let me put it on you, like how much would you pay for this, blah blah blah. And I don't know why we're going to these, because they're not in the itinerary, and personally I'd rather have free time or more time at the ruins than going to these little shopping show things. I don't know if this is our tour director's idea to take us to these. I don't know how she picks these places. But if they're not part of EF's itinerary, I wish they were optional because they aren't fun. We've done 3 of them now. Plus, we did a pottery one, which is on EF's itinerary. That one, however, it was more of an experience first, because instead of just a few minutes of, hey, here's how we make a rug, hey, here are some stones, they actually let a couple of people in our group do like a whole pottery demonstration. So it was like a little more of a thing, whereas the other 3 were not. I really think that this isn't a good trip for somebody for their first EF trip, or if it's one of your first times out of the country and you're not confident being able to go off on your own and do what you want to do. Because if you're expecting just what the itinerary provides to give you like a full in-depth like look at Turkey, I don't think it does a good job at that. I think it's a great idea of a tour, but there's like a lot left to be desired, and there's like some things that need to be fixed overall. And honestly, I think if I wasn't here with a group of friends, I would feel really let down by this. I'm so grateful to be here in Turkey, and it's honestly been amazing to see this country. And I really love it. I just don't know if it's like a good enough trip that I would recommend it to like just anyone. I think it would take a certain type of person, like if you're really interested in like Turkish history, or like the specific history that's here, or you really want to go to Cappadocia and do a hot air balloon ride, or you know a lot about Turkish culture already and you want to get out and experience it in Turkey. But if you want like a fun vacation, or you want a tour where you're really diving deep into a country, I don't know if this is the one. I think the itinerary needs to add more free time, and then in the free time, the tour director needs to offer more options so that people can go do what they think is interesting, or the tours that we are taking need to be more in depth, because a lot of us are like we come off or we leave the ruins and we're like, what did we just learn? Like, I truly left the first ruins and I was like, I don't even know if these are Greek or Roman, and that should be like the first thing that we learned. I don't even know what time period all these ruins are from. Like, I don't know if I'm just missing something, but I feel like I have not learned as much as I was expecting to learn coming in here. Overall, despite all of the issues that came up and the busy go schedule that we had, I did enjoy Turkey. I love the food here. The people are really nice, and I had a great time with a great group of people on this EF tour. While I wouldn't necessarily recommend the grand tour of Turkey until they adjust some things, I would definitely recommend traveling to Istanbul or Istanbul and Cappadocia with EF Ultimate Break. They have trips that cover those cities, and I would highly recommend them. And then if you have some extra time on your own, I would spend more time in Istanbul, as just a few nights is not enough. And I can't wait to go back to Turkey someday soon and see more of Istanbul and the other places that I didn't get to go on this tour. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment if you enjoyed the video. Bye.